Hi, everyone. I've started the webinar. We're looking forward to talking to you about a bunch of things that we're going to be talking about at our event on October the 28th and 29th. And actually, if you guys go to ankushjain.co.uk/London, it should come to a page which has got a lot more about the event. And halfway down, there are a bunch of bullet points which we're going to discuss today. So how to make a living as a coach, how being open-minded, amusing, and humble helps to sign client, how to market yourself authentically, etc. And there are a bunch of bullet points over there that we were going to cover today. So I think Steve's managed to get the computer working right now, and Google was for some reason giving him some issues, but we seem to have resolved that, and hopefully we can just get him logged on to the webinar today. And I can see that Steve has joined us. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Ankush. Can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Great. We have you live. Fantastic. This is all done on purpose. We are both trained professionals, as I was saying, and there's obviously a very, very important coaching lesson in starting the webinar at a little bit later than planned.
Highly trained professionals.
I was just telling everyone that we are going to be covering a few bullet points that we put out on our registration page to go into a little bit more detail on this webinar. I'm really excited to have you in London. It feels like we announced this a lifetime ago, but I guess in the middle we've had well, I've certainly had a lot going on with getting married and going on honeymoon, but now I'm back and really excited to gear up for London. Is there anything you wanted to get out of the webinar today? So we're live on the air already, Steve. Is there anything that you wanted to cover, especially on this webinar, you wanted to talk about?
You know, am I behaving as if we're not live? Is that why you gave me that reminder? Because often I will behave as if we're not live and there are no people watching. And I do need to be reminded at times that there are people. So I'm very happy to do this with you, Ankush. You know, we're going to have fun in London. I've been there twice to do prosperity coaching type seminars, and each time it's just been a great joy and a lot of fun, and a lot of people got a lot out of it and have talked to me ever since. So I'm happy to come back and really look forward to working with you. For so many reasons, and we're going to accomplish a lot in a very short amount of time together.
Well, that's probably a really good place to start, because it feels, to me at least, a really cool thing that I believe the last time you were at London doing an event similar to this was the very first time we met, which was just over 2 years ago. So it's a real honor and a real pleasure to just in a very short space of time, 2 years later, to come back and host an event with yourself, and just how much my coaching has changed in that time. And I remember when we met 2 years ago, I was still working full time in my corporate job, and we hadn't done any work together, and that event, really, that 2 days that you were in London, really had a huge impact on myself, and my coaching career took off. So I'm really hopeful that this time round that others would be able to experience the same sort of impact that I know a lot of coaches are looking for in their businesses.
Yeah, and I remember the last time at the Coaching Prosperity School that I do, and you made a presentation to the coaches, and it was just really powerful and worked so well. And that's what makes me really look forward to this. We're gonna tackle what I think is the most difficult thing in a coach's world, and that is the process of building a prosperous, thriving practice financially, and to build it with heart and spirit and enjoy that part of it. That's the most coaches that I know, as they start their careers, or sometimes even many years down in the career, they see getting clients as the hard part. And they see the enrollment process and building a thriving practice and making money. To them, that's the hard part. That's the part they don't look forward to. That's the part that gives them anxiety. And what I like to help coaches see, and anyone can do this, is that part can be very enjoyable and can be the part that you really look forward to doing even more than coaching people. So that's why I love to teach these seminars that focus on practice building. I love that.
You said a word that or a few words that might have got lost in all of that, which I really want to kind of pull out, which is really my passion and real desire for doing this. And what I found as a new coach, and I still find, is there are an awful lot of people that I see online who claim to help coaches be more prosperous, to get clients. Every time I seem to start Facebook, there seems to be someone trying to convince people with some advertising or marketing how they can help people get more clients. And really what I like about what we're going to do and how you've helped me grow my business is doing it with integrity. And that's so important for me, because what I found, and this is just my experience as a new coach, was I found this really amazing thing called coaching, which had a huge impact on my life and could have a huge impact on other people's lives. And it was really, heart-centered, and it was the best thing that I had ever done. It was the most, I felt the most fulfilling work that I had ever done. And then there seemed to be this kind of little black box, which was how to make money, how to get clients. And a lot of what I was hearing and seeing didn't really feel in integrity. It didn't feel in alignment with that. And it kind of felt like, this is the really cool stuff that I want to do. And then that's kind of icky and, something that's not enjoyable. And what I find that what you teach on your prosperity school, and what I find and how I run my business, is a lot more around doing this in a way which is totally in line with that. And so it's a lot easier to do. It's a lot more fun as well, and it kind of just merges. There doesn't seem to be for me anymore this part where it's like, this is the nice stuff and this is the bit that I don't enjoy but is a necessary evil. Like you say, it can be more fun, and in fact it all kind of merges together for me.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and I love how you see it merges. It's no longer the separate hard part of my business. It now becomes an organic whole. So as I'm having conversations today, some might be prospects and some might be existing clients, and there's really no difference. It's my willingness to serve and assist and help people see what they can see, so that they see their lives differently and then can live with their lives differently. And it's what your line of coaching and philosophy calls insights, and other people call it breakthroughs or ahas. But if you can do those throughout your day, you no longer have a day of failed sales calls and disappointments and anxiety. And when that goes away, it's great. And a lot of coaches, they say, I don't know how to do this, or I don't know how to get clients, or I don't know how to build my business. My business is stuck and I'm making only this amount of money. I don't know how to go to that next level that I see other coaches where they're making 200,000, 500,000 or whatever. I have no clue how to do that. And what's really missing is not the how to. People will always throw the illusion of the how to at you, as that's what they think is missing, is the how to. my personal thinking, analytical mind does not know how to analyze a way to do this. What's really missing is the want to, the pure flow into enjoying this. That's what's missing. It's not the how to, it's the want to, it's the being ready to, or finding a way to do this in, like you said, integrity. I like to use dignity or relaxation in a way where I'm not like you, like one of your phrases, selling my soul to get clients or over promising things. And when we can find a way to stay inside our comfort zone and do this in a way that we love and we enjoy, all of a sudden getting clients, I mean, there are 7 billion people. I had a person ask me this morning, well, how do I find people to talk to? And I said, you asked me that because there's only 7 billion and you wish there were more? That's how much. It's a ridiculous question. That's not really what's at play. How do I? What's at play is I'm imagining that connecting with people, getting their money, selling takes courage. So now I'm thinking, I've got to play bigger. I got to play big, and I've got to get outside my comfort zone. I've got to suck it up, and I've got to let the butterflies happen in my heart pounding and my palms sweating, and I've got to talk to people. And that approach, I've got to dream big, play big, show courage, live in the land of no, get 1,000 no's today, get rejected over and over. That frenzied, jacked up approach really keeps people from getting clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you heard this, Steve, when we started. I said this, we've got a bunch of bullet points on our registration page, and we were going to cover them, and we're starting to actually already cover the first bullet point, which is how to actually make a living as a coach. And you're right, you know, that there's a lot of I would call misinformation out there, or certainly things that didn't work for me as a new coach. And what we are both going to do in October is really share what works. And I love that we're doing this together, because you've got a ton of experience of doing this. I know you've got a nickname as the Godfather of coaching, and you've helped so many coaches really become prosperous and do great work. And on the flip side, I love that I'm able to be on stage alongside you as someone who's a relatively new coach, and especially because we're doing this in London. I'm from England, and I know I had a question recently from someone who said, well, does this only work in the USA? Is this just an American thing? Surely this doesn't work in England. Surely this doesn't work in the UK. Or, maybe this works for Steve because he's written 30 books, or this works for someone else because of whatever. And what I'm hoping is that with both of us, we can bring very different kind of actual stories in terms of our careers, but show that what we're sharing really, really works, whether you're in England or whether you're in the USA, whether you're just starting out or you've been, you've got a lot of experience. And it isn't, like you say, the kind of bravo macho pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, doing all this crazy stuff, taking a video of yourself dancing like an idiot, so to show that you're vulnerable online.
I've done that.
Of course, you're the exception, and
I was talked into it. It's not my fault. Okay. No, I hear you, though. I get it. I hear you. And I can see that's an understandable question, because I see that people could get the impression that Americans are just more out there and grabbing for success and more vulgar in their pursuit of money. And so you got more people eager to be coached and all that stuff. I can see where that's the impression. But like you say, I've never known a difference. I've had clients in England and in Europe. I've never known a real difference in this. So I'm glad you brought that up. And you bring a lot of refinement and dignity to what we do, and your depth in in how you coach and the people your colleagues and the three principles. A lot of times, your coaching is not one of those Tony Robbins interventionist confrontational things. It really is a lot more relaxed, and so a lot of times people get the impression that if we are that way, we can't make a lot of money, and that's just the nature of how I coach, or the nobility of the principles I'm teaching is such that it's not good to make money. But you know, when you look at people like George Pransky and Dick and Bettinger and so many people in that field that you're in, they make a lot of money, and the money is well made and well deserved, and the people who pay them the money are so glad to do it. You know, can I mention something? I know I'm kind of rambling here, and
Sure.
I don't know. I'm using a different camera, so I think, am I out of the shot? How is this?
You look a little bit low in the shot, but we can see you.
I want to stay a little low in the shot just for the impression of humility. So it's kind of like I'm in a bunker, and I'm looking out of the bunker. Is that the
first tip we're sharing? Maybe I should just raise my screen a little bit.
I had a coach say to me, I have a hard time asking for money. And the things that you and I are going to work on in London in October are going to be about how to do it so that you're not asking for money. You're allowing someone to pay you money because they're doing it voluntarily. They want to do it. So you're not going around asking for money. You're talking to someone, you're giving them the experience of what it's like to work with you. And then they say, how do I proceed? How do I work with you? And you allow them to become a client of, and it's not arrogance, it's just a different mindset. It's just a different process. And it works so beautifully. It really works so well. And people don't trust it at the start. They think, oh, unless I have a hard sales close, unless I really manipulate the other person, they're not going to work with me. And that might be true if you're selling used vehicles or something, but not true with coaching. Coaching is a profession that invites. It has invitation in it. It doesn't have manipulation. And people get the wrong idea. They think I have to manipulate people into buying from me, and that's not really true.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And you know, you're right. And I'm thinking back to when I first started coaching, and I remember thinking that you know,
go ahead.
I had to manipulate people in order to get clients, and you know, it was about doing the same work and charging more. And I really don't see it that way. I like you said, I love that you said that people who are colleagues of ours, people who are colleagues of mine in the three principles world make a lot of money, but it's well deserved. I really like that, because the way, at least my viewpoint of things, is that in this profession, as in many other professions, in order to get paid a certain amount, you need to deliver a certain amount of value. And when I started coaching, I really didn't see that. And what I've started to see as I've kind of moved along is that, you know, this is all about how much can I give to other people? How much value can I give? And it's when I give more value, and this industry and this field is so creative. I've never felt as creative as I do as a coach. And I find that you know, because it's unrated as a profession, and it's really, really open to us, which does have some downsides, but the great side about it is we can be creative and create so much value for other people. And it's only when I know I do that, and that in countless immeasurable ways, but when I do that, that's when I make money. And you're right, it's not about how can I charge this person double the amount by doing no extra work. For me, it's how can I create so much value they will want to pay me double or triple, or not. How can I just create value for people that they'll want to pay for?
That's right. And in the end, you're not, it's not as if you're taxing them or taking money from them. It's a very voluntary process on their part. And they base their decision to pay you on the experience of being with you. And so many coaches think they're going to base whether to pay me on my credibility, my reputation, my history, and they don't base it on that. They base it on what it was like when they were talking to you and how much opened up inside of them. So if I'm talking to you, I'm going to base whether I want to work with you further on what happened over here inside of me. I'm not going to base it on a judgment of you and tell me your what's your bio like and who else are you coaching. I mean, that's the preliminary tire kicking aspect of this. When you get into a sales call with someone, that'll cause them to behave that way. But if you have a heartfelt connection, your humanity and theirs, no longer does that mean anything. And one of the things I found, Ankush, is that CEOs and people who we believe are at a higher level in society or business status, they love having a secret weapon. They love having a coach who that's their secret weapon, who's kind of comes in under the radar and helps them with their life, as opposed to, well, you know, they don't want to tell their colleagues and their peers that they're being coached by Tony Robbins or Oprah or someone like that, because it's embarrassing. They've been taken for a fool. But if they say, I've got this person, you've never heard of him, doesn't even have a website, and I work with him, and that's all I'm going to say. It's to your advantage. That your own humility is to your advantage. And all the things we believe, like I have to have a big reputation, that really puts people off. That's not going to help a coach.
You've completely done a beautiful segue into our second bullet point, which was how being open-minded, amusing, and humble helps to sign clients. And I love that. And I love the story that you tell about a client that you had who had been on Oprah and was struggling to get clients. And I think back to that story so many times because I find that there seems to almost be a cultural thing that, you know, as coaches, we need to put ourselves out there. We need to become more well-known. We need to increase our network and really kind of growing. How many likes do I get on Facebook? How many followers do I have on Twitter? As opposed to serving people. Could you tell that story for people that haven't heard it?
Sure, and I tell the story because it's there are so many versions of this story in the world where coaches are pursuing, I call it 10-foot pole communication, where they'd rather have someone at a distance of a 10-foot pole than a close, intimate, meaningful conversation. It's anything to avoid really connecting with another human, including all the stuff, all the shallow stuff I do. So this woman had been on Oprah 3 times. She had written a book. She was a life coach, and she lived in New York, in Manhattan, and she wasn't getting clients. She was struggling. She couldn't afford her apartment in New York, and she couldn't figure it out. And she spoke to someone in California who referred me as someone who helps people get clients. And she called me and she said, I cannot for the life of me figure out, now that I've achieved being on Oprah, why I'm not getting clients. And I said, so tell me why a person would hire a coach because they saw them on Oprah. What kind of person would do that? They're going to invest all this money. They're going to open their heart. They're going to be vulnerable. They're going to have you become a life partner because they saw you on Oprah. Those two things don't connect. As a matter of fact, they're more likely to think you're way too expensive, you're way into self-promotion, you want to be a media personality instead of someone who will understand me, so I'm intimidated by the very thought of you. I'm not going to communicate with you. And that's really what was going on. So she began a process by which she started to invite people in for sessions so they could experience her, so they could really have what it's like to work with her, instead of somebody actually, I mean, you'd have to have brain damage to see someone on Oprah and then hire them as a coach because of that. You'd have to be deranged. In fact, that would be that any good neurophysician, any good neurologist, if he was looking at your symptoms, if he had heard that you hired someone because you saw him on Oprah, that would be ding, ding, ding. That would be like, get them into emergency room immediately. We need a brain scan immediately.
I love that story, because when I heard that the first time, when I heard you say it, I realized that, you know, I'd been around the self-development world for so long, and I had never once written to, contacted, got in touch with anyone that I saw. And we see it now, we see TEDx talks, right? We see TED talks, we see some great stuff on there, we see some great people, and whilst I was really into personal development before, I never once contacted. Even now, I never contact anyone. I'll see a great talk, and I might share the talk with someone. I might share something, but I never contact them. And when I heard that the first time, I thought, you know, it was one of those moments where you smack your forehead and go, dope, and just say, why did I not see that? Why am I trying to do something which wouldn't even work on me as a customer? You know, but like, you know, like I said, it's insidious. By the way, I hope this is really helpful for people. And I know we've got a bunch of people on the side who have been commenting. If you've got any questions for Steve and I, please feel free to write them on the side, and we'll discuss them. If this is helpful, great. And if not, please don't write anything. We'll just carry on rambling and ignore you.
No, I noticed, Ankush, I didn't really see the comments on the side, but I see some people saying that I'm frozen. Now, they probably mean they're talking about my personality, right? They're not talking about, or are they talking about my image on the screen?
I thought they were talking about the Disney movie, but I think they are talking about their image on the screen. But that was a little while ago, and I just commented to restart, and I think the restarting seems to have worked for people. If not, if people are still having technical difficulties, then please let us know. We go on to the next bullet point, which was how to market yourself authentically. And you know, I think that it's funny, because I believe you were a marketing director, Steve, once upon a time. I actually started, I don't know if you know this, I started my career out in marketing, and I was really a fan of marketing. And you know, it isn't, or traditional marketing, at least from what I see, isn't what seems to work. I think that, and maybe you can expand on this, but for me, this is such a different service. And I mean, actually, even in marketing, if you look at marketing, you know, it's about, you know, presenting your product or service to the customer and letting them know about it. But that's different for different industries, and it's different for different products. You know, if you're doing marketing for a vehicle manufacturer, it looks very, very different than if you're doing marketing for fast-moving consumer goods. You know, very, very different. And maybe a different way to say it is actually coaching is a, you know, kind of one extreme of a very, very personalized service. And so it shouldn't really be viewed in the same way as, you know, other kinds of marketing. And, you know, one thing that I found is the best marketing that I've done really, or what really works for me, has been word of mouth and referrals. And that really comes from doing very, very good work. And that's something that I know I kind of talk a lot about online, and kind of maybe get on my soapbox about, but and I know you talk about it too, Steve, that when we're really, really good at coaches, when the work that we do is very, very good, then people talk about us, and that's what brings us clients, as opposed to us going out and marketing ourselves and saying, hey, look at me, I'm great, come and do my program, here, sign up for some free sessions with me, which is all trying to convince people that what you do is good. It doesn't seem to work for our industry and our profession and the service we provide.
Yeah, I agree with that. People don't have a lot of, there aren't many track records of success with that approach, because it doesn't address the most important things about coaching. And one of them is trust. And another one is people don't know what coaching is. So if I'm a plumber or I open a barber shop or a hair salon, I can do marketing because everybody knows what my service is. And my prices are within a very limited range of acceptable prices for this service and all of that. So I want to market, get the word out, because I don't have to do much more than that after a while to get people in. But for getting a one-on-one coaching relationship, one of the biggest problems one of the biggest challenges that marketing does not address, and that is people don't know what this is. They might sort of assume that it's kind of like psychotherapy, and I tell you about my whole past history and you analyze me, but they don't really know. And no two coaches are really alike. So it's not as if anyone can ever say this is what coaching will be like if you hire a coach. Coaches are so different that people need the experience of you to decide to work with you. And so if you drop your attempt to become well-known and marketed and all that, and then replace that with having conversations, creating relationships, and offering to serve, and being on the lookout for who you can serve instead of who you can impress or who you can connect with or who you can get your name out to. And when people can shift over to that, where they're serving all day, clients start to come in. But when they're just trying to market themselves, people don't know what coaching is. And so let's say you're the best known coach in the world. Everybody knows you're a life coach. They don't really know what that is. And a lot of people are afraid they're not going to do it right, or they're intimidated by the idea of, well, if somebody coaches me, they're going to find out that I've got all these flaws and weaknesses, and I haven't done much with my life, and I'm not a very admirable person, and I don't want to expose that to people. So I'm a little worried about paying to find out I'm a loser. The clients actually think that way. I'm going to pay you. You're going to coach me 10 sessions, and we're both going to find out I'm a loser. So people don't know what coaching is. And so the way to cross that bridge is to relax them and what I allow people to see is my life. I'm a bigger loser than you are. So it's not about being a loser. It's about having your life start over in this moment right now.
Would you also say that I think it's a great reason why having people have an experience of you also works both ways, because I know for me, and this is something that I've learned, I guess over the last few years, is being a little bit more fussy around who I work with, because like you say, every coach is different, every client is different, and there are, like you said, 7 billion people out on the planet earlier. We don't need to coach everyone, and for me, it's very much a two-way thing, and I'm very open when I talk to new potential clients that, look, this works both ways. I'm seeing if we're a good fit, but I want you to see that we're a good fit as well. And I know some people swear by their barber and where they get their hair cut, and will really make sure it's important that they have a good rapport with the person who cuts their hair. And coaching is far, far, far more intimate and far, far more impactful than that. And so if you put so much time and attention on picking the person who cuts your hair, surely you should put some time and attention on who you're getting coaching from.
That's right. I agree with all that.
One of the first things that we talked about after one of our first conversations after I saw you in London a few years ago was we talked about what my week looked like. And I remember this conversation so clearly. And you said, okay, Kush, just tell me what your week looks like. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me whatever. And we went through everything that I was doing. And you said, oh, it sounds good. It sounds like, a lot of good activities that you're doing. And I was really committed to being a coach. I was really, putting a lot of my heart into it. And you helped me to look at my calendar and see what activities make me money and what activities don't make me money. And one of the things that we're going to be talking to people about in London is really how to put a stop to activities that don't make you money and focus on things that you do. Because for me, this was something that had an immediate impact on my business. And it wasn't that some things were wrong or some things were right, but it was just noticing that if I spend time doing this activity over here, it's great, but it's not going to make me any money. And if I only fill my calendar with things that don't make me money or are not going to make me money in the short or medium term, then guess what? I'm going to struggle to make money. If, on the other hand, I'm spending time doing things which are more likely to make me money, then it obviously follows through that I'm going to make money. Now, how this really aligns with the theme of this event for me is, we're talking about creating a heart-centered coaching practice. Actually, what I found was the more that I focused on doing things which made me money in the short term, the more I was helping people, the more I was impacting the people, more I was coming from my heart and doing good work. And that was something that hadn't occurred to me, but really I see that work for me and everyone else. So
yeah.
I don't know if you've got any thoughts to add.
Yeah, that's ironic. That goes against what we think in the culture and what all the movies tell us, and that is that making money is some kind of clever, crass manipulation where you've got to outthink the buyer and persuade them and come up with some leveraged, clever, I've got to scale this, I've got to do that. And it's all very cynical. And it's all very, very shallow. And in our profession, as you found out, what makes you money, it is the most heart-centered connection you can make with another human being. That those two things are the same. So if you have a real heart-centered connection with someone in the morning, your chances of making money go up. But if you scout around and put out emails and go on Facebook and you think of ways, maybe I should write a book or create a blog, the chance of you making money from all that busyness and noise, it's just not there. And a lot of times coaches find this out when they're desperate. In other words, they see they're not making money. They might have a spouse who points that out as well. And they say, okay, what would it take for me to make money? What would I need to do? If I had to make 10,000 pounds in the next 2 weeks, what would I do? And then if they allow themselves to see it clearly for themselves, what they will do is have conversations and create relationships that lead to people hiring you. That's what makes you money. And so then they'll start to rearrange their day so that I want to start booking the activity that makes me money. Now it's really important to see that money is a reflection of your service to people. It's not a reflection of how clever you are or how you're outwitting the system or you're gaming the system of capitalism. It really is a reflection of service, because people in this profession, people don't pay you unless you're making a positive difference in their life that's worth it to them. And a lot of times
absolutely.
I'll say to a coach, "Are you really serving? Are you really serving?" And they'll say, "I think I am." And I'll say, "Let me look at your bank account. I'll tell you if you are."
You know, I was just talking about that today, about how I really started to serve, and how it started to, and it surprised me how quickly it had an impact on my bank account. You know, I could see before I would be doing really good work and I'd have to justify coaching, and I'm like, well, it's not really impacting my bank account, but it will, and it's a good thing. And as soon as I started really serving people, as soon as I started having more conversations, and cutting out things that were not activities that were really you know, both impactful straight away and helping people straight away, and making me money straight away, my bank balance just shifted very, very, very quickly. So you know, it's a great point. I'm aware that some people will have to go soon, and one of the other things we wanted to talk about was about how to ask for money even when it doesn't feel very spiritual. Was one of our bullet points, and I think we covered this a little bit earlier, but for me as well, it was really a shift of thinking around money. And one of the things that you've helped me see, Steve, is that money really isn't good or bad. You know, and I think I used to have this thought, and it was really deeply buried. I probably wouldn't have been conscious of it, but money or too much money is bad, and asking for money is taking something away from other people. And that's simply not true. And I know there may be some people out there, because I used to think like this, who used to think that, you know, money is not very spiritual. Money isn't, you know, taking money isn't good. If we really were doing good work, we'd do it for free. And what I've really come to see is that that's simply not the case. And I know that I've paid money to do various courses, to take on various services, to do experiences like, you know, go on holiday and maybe try out so many different things in my life that I've been very, very happy to do and enjoyed paying for and wanted to pay for. And coaching is, in my mind, is very much the same. It's not about taking something from someone, but certainly from my mind, I feel like I give so much to my clients that I want them to feel like, not only, I don't want them to feel satisfied, I want them to be really, you know, overjoyed about spending the money with me, and that was the best money that they ever spent. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree with that. And there's a way for them to actually get a feeling that that is a good use of their money by the enrollment process we're going to teach in London, which is to have them already experience. So if someone says, wow, if that's what 2 hours with Ankush is, then imagine what spending the next 6 months with him will be like. Because I already know what it's like to have a conversation, to open up with him. It's not like I'm trying to have faith or I'm trying to trust that this is a good investment. I don't want any of my clients to wrestle with whether or not this is a good idea. Even for the coaching school, we send so much material out ahead of time. You've got all the content virtually, so you don't have to guess at whether this will be useful to you or move your practice forward. We don't want anyone to guess at that or trust us when we say it will. We want them to find that out. Same with you and me. You know, we're willing to send audios, books, do webinars, whatever, even for this little weekend of a small collection of people. We want you to get a feeling ahead of time and really see for yourself that this is going to help you. And that's the important thing. And when you do that, you're not taking money anymore. You're allowing people to pay you for something they've decided that they want to do.
And you know what occurs to me, Steve, is you can't really fake that. You know, one of the things that I seem to be getting feedback from people a lot recently is that, you know, people say to me, oh, it comes across like you really care. It comes across, you know, you come across very genuine, and that's kind of why, you know, we talked a lot about integrity and in the registration page. I don't feel like you can make that up, and I feel that that's such an important thing for coaches, because like you say, it's a very intimate thing. People work very closely with us as coaches, and so it's important for us to have that relationship. And for me, that's why it's so important for us to be in integrity and to really care. And I certainly mean this. If people can't come, and I know there's some people who want to come to London but can't come, I'm very happy for them to watch all the material, to listen to what we've got to say, to come and look at this webinar and take what works for them, because I know that doesn't detract from what we do. It doesn't take away from what we do. And I found that the more that I give, the more it comes back. And I think before, when I was trying to game it, like you say, and trying to fake it, and like, yeah, I'm trying to give, but secretly I'm only doing this because I want you to work with me. It just didn't really seem to work at all.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
We've basically run out of time, and we've got a few more things to talk about, you know, which I'll just quickly mention. In London, we're going to talk about figuring out why your coaching practice isn't successful. We're going to really help people understand why prospects don't want to be sold. And we're also going to be talking about how to turn your business, your coaching business, into a game. If anyone's got any quick questions for us, please use the chat box on the side, and let us know. You know, if you've got any questions for us, if there's anything we haven't had time to answer today, if you're watching this on replay, please feel free to contact either Steve or myself. Very happy to answer any questions that you guys have got. Steve, have you got anything that you want to add today?
Well, one final thing. When you talk about people know when you really care and you really want to help and you really want to serve and it's really real. That's and sometimes I used to hear that, like, oh, I've got to force myself to become authentic, or I've got to I've got to make myself a caring person. I've got to practice that, and I've got to get my caring muscle developed and psych myself up to start caring. And really, and I've learned a lot of this from you and people you work with, that loving essence, that loving kindness and that connection is naturally there. That is when you're relaxed and when you're not anxious and when you're not nervous about making money or not making money, about getting this client or not getting this client. When you're totally relaxed, that caring emerges. You don't have to do it or force it or worry about it or judge it. It's just there. And that's why it's so important to put in relaxation around the enrollment process, so that when you're talking to people, your natural human caring and loving and kindness just shows up for them and they feel connected to it.
I love that you said that, Stephen. And if we'd had time, I was going to talk about this. I'll very quickly mention it, that one of the last bullet points on our page was about, you know, turning your coaching business into a game. And I feel the exact same way, that's also natural. So when you talk about caring being natural, actually this is a game. It is not something that you need to do. It's about, for me, realizing that this is really fun. This is very much a game, and it's very enjoyable, and any kind of seriousness is of my own making, and doesn't need to be there. So I've really enjoyed doing this with you today. The time's simply flown by. We've got some great comments on the side. Neil says he's had so many eye-openers tonight. I really hope that people have enjoyed this and we've maybe answered some of your questions. If people want to know more about the event Steve and I are doing, it's taking place on the Friday and Saturday, October the 28th and 29th of 2016, just in case someone's watching this next year or in the future. And it's taking place at the Rubens Hotel in London, in central London. I'm really looking forward to being there with Steve. if you want to read more, you can go to my website, which is ankushjain.co.uk/London. That's ANKUSHJAIN.co.uk/London. Any final words, Steve?
No, I just memorized that. That's a handy, easy thing to remember. No, I've got nothing. We're going to have fun in London. And last time I was in London, I was on a hop-on, hop-off tour bus. And they announced that we could get off to join the Jack the Ripper walking tour if we wanted to. And why do we celebrate this guy? Why do we make him a fun tourist attraction? Maybe we'll cover that in our event in London.
I think that's a really important thing to cover. The peculiarity, one of the many peculiarities, if I can say it, of being a Brit, that I only found out when I spend more and more time in the USA, where people ask me, why do you guys do that? So maybe that'd be a cool thing to cover.
All right, my friend. It'll be great fun working with you again.
All right. Thanks a lot, Steve.
Okay.